All right, so the Philadelphia Eagles are going to host the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time at Lincoln Financial Field in the divisional round of the NFC playoffs. The winner moving on to the NFC Championship game. The other side of the bracket, Detroit Lions will host the Washington Commanders on Saturday night. Just hopping on the mic late night here to pass along some thoughts on this Eagles-Rams game after the Rams straight up thumped the Minnesota Vikings in Arizona on Monday Night Football to round out Wild Card Weekend. You're watching Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. hanging out here with you. And no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making this show a part of your evening or a part of your morning if you're watching on Tuesday morning. I do want to start off with this. Want to gauge where everybody is at, who you got in this game. Eagles, Rams, South Philadelphia on Sunday. Let me know down in the comment section, and an update on our chase toward 100,000 subscribers. The channel currently sitting at 99,272 subs in every pocket of America and worldwide. Easy math, 328 people away from 100,000 subscribers. Once we get there, we're getting that silver plaque from YouTube. Gonna have a celebration right here on the channel. So let's get there this week. Hit that sub button for daily and year-round coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Rams currently up right now, 27-9, with a couple of seconds to go in the wild card round against Minnesota. Very impressive win for Los Angeles. That game taking place in Arizona because of the Los Angeles wildfires that are still raging. If anybody's watching this show and you're affected or you have family members, friends affected by the wildfires that have been raging for days now, thoughts and prayers go out to you. And the Rams tonight, the atmosphere pretty good. At the Cardinals Stadium, they sent their private jet to the Rams. They gave access to their facilities, a really cool gesture by Cardinals owner Michael Bidwell, and it didn't impact Los Angeles at all in this game. And I'm not going to call the Minnesota Vikings frauds. I don't think that you can win 14 games and be fraudulent. I'll say this, though. A pretty brutal ending to the season after winning those 14 games this year, taking down multiple playoff teams along the road. They got smacked by the Lions on the road with the division and the number one seed on the line in Week 18. Win or go home, pretty much. And then this game was over pretty much at halftime. It was 24-3 Rams at recess. Both the Lions and the Rams blitzed the heck out of Sam Darnold in consecutive weeks. He looked lost. This Vikings offense was lost. They went away from the run. They became one-dimensional. And Darnold, who was great all year, was missing guys left and right. The pressure really impacted him. You could see it in his eyes. He didn't know what he was seeing. He was famous for saying against the New England Patriots in primetime when he was with the Jets, "I'm seeing ghosts." The last 2 weeks, Sam Darnold looked as though he was seeing ghosts. Now, the offensive line didn't do him any favors, and tonight that's a credit to a Rams front that is headlined by a couple of young studs in Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, both players out of Florida State, a part of that really good Seminoles team from last year. But Darnold sacked 6 times in the first half, and the Rams able to get out to that 24-3 advantage. They never looked back. And in that first half, Darnold threw a pick. Jared Verse picked up a Darnold fumble, and at 260 pounds, he reached 19 miles per hour, taking that ball to the crib. And you have to wonder what happens with Darnold now. You know, this regular season, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 4,300 yards. He was really good until the last 2 weeks. And Aaron Glenn is probably going to get a head coaching job. He's the Lions defensive coordinator. And the Rams tonight just able to send the house at Sam Darnold, and he just wasn't trusting what he was seeing. He's very hesitant. And then the accuracy was just all over the place. He's very erratic. And that's a credit to Rams defensive coordinator Chris Shula for seeing what the Lions did with a depleted defense and then replicating that game plan against Minnesota here tonight. Probably lost himself some money the last 2 games, and I'm fascinated to see what happens with Darnold moving forward. But enough of that. Let's talk about this Eagles-Rams game, because the Rams, with their victory tonight, will travel to Philadelphia. Short week, cross-country travel, advantage Eagles there. Game taking place at 3 p.m. Eastern at the Link. That's 12 o'clock out there on the West Coast. So the Eagles have a slight edge there. And these two teams have already played this year. Look back at Week 12, Eagles-Rams, Philadelphia winning that game 37-20. It was an iconic, historic, incredible Saquon Barkley performance. He totaled over 300 all-purpose yards. He carried the rock 26 times for 255 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns of 70-plus yards. Eagles' offensive line was terrific in that game. They owned the line of scrimmage, and the Rams simply couldn't stop the run. DeVonta Smith did not play in that game, by the way. That was when he was dealing with the hamstring injury, so A.J. Brown stepped up, had a really good game. 6 catches for 109 yards. Jalen Hurts threw for somewhere in the neighborhood of like 130 yards, so A.J. Brown accounted for almost all of those yards through the air. But the Eagles didn't really need to throw it because Saquon Barkley was just cooking for those 255 yards on the ground and more than 300 all-purpose yards. A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Saquon Barkley, all going to play in this game. Eagles' defense that night was also spectacular, especially on the money downs. They held the Rams to 0 of 8 on third down conversions. So they were able to get off the field, get that Eagles offense back on the field, and Vic Fangio's defense, which was unbelievable against the Packers, forcing 3 Jordan Love interceptions, so sound in coverage, pretty good against the run, even though Josh Jacobs had some bully ball type of runs there. They were great. Won that game for the Eagles against the Packers in the wild card round. That's how Philadelphia advanced. Back in this Week 12 game, Eagles defense was also really good. They gave up 290 yards of total offense. Eagles offense averaged 7.1 yards per pop. The Rams at 4.8. Eagles averaged 7 yards per carry. And the Eagles had 5 sacks of Matthew Stafford in that game. Brandon Graham was playing an awesome game. That's when he suffered that torn triceps injury. Luckily, that hasn't severely hampered the Eagles' pass rush from there on out. In fact, you've seen players step up like Nolan Smith, who had a career year. Josh Sweat was really good. And then the interior. It's awesome. Milton Williams, really good player. Jalen Carter, an all-pro level guy. Jordan Davis was really good against the run against the Packers. Moro Ajomo is a player who's jumped out to me. And so, speaking of that pass rush for the Eagles, it's going to be critical to get that pass rush against Matthew Stafford going in this game. Now, as we look ahead to this divisional round game, and you think back to how dominant the Eagles were in primetime against the Rams back in Week 12, I don't think that this game is going to be that easy. You know what's funny, too, is that was the last time the Eagles were on a plane. And while the Rams are playing really good football now, they were also playing good football then. I just think they're going to be much more ready to play in this game. Pressure's going to be ratcheted up. Back in Week 12, the Rams had won 4 of 5 going into that game. Rams started the season 1-4. So they are 9-3 since then. They won a pretty down NFC West. But in this game, you have to be aware of the fact that Matthew Stafford can certainly sling it. He might be the best quarterback in the NFC when he's playing well, clearly getting older, but the arm talent is still there. Sean McVay is an elite coach. The Rams have really invested in the offensive line. Their run game is solid, led by Kyron Williams. Puka Nacua is a dog. Cooper Kupp might be kind of cooked. Hasn't really done much all season long and just looks a little bit slow. The story for this Rams team, though, has been that young defense. Jared Verse, awesome player, could win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's been battling it out with Quinyon Mitchell. He's good. Braden Fisk is good. They have some young DBs. Signed Cam Curl. And Chris Shula has done a really good job with that defensive unit. And to end the season, this is when they've been playing their best ball. They gave up 6 points to the Niners, 9 points to the Jets, 9 points to the Cardinals. Didn't play their starters against Seattle in Week 18, but then they give up 9 points to the Vikings. A Vikings team where Sam Darnold played well all year. Aaron Jones is a good back. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, a good 1-2 punch at wide receiver. TJ Hawkinson, good tight end. Good offensive line. Kevin O'Connell, great play caller. And the Rams completely shut them down. It was one of those games where the Rams took this game by the throat right from the jump. opening drive touchdown, put the pressure on Minnesota, carryover effect with Minnesota feeling that pressure from last week. They don't play the same and don't have the same identity when they're down. They started to press, and then the Rams able to be opportunistic with turnovers, turning turnovers into points, something that the Eagles didn't do against the Green Bay Packers. And then the game just really snowballed tonight for Minnesota. Important to note, too, weather on Sunday at the Link could be a factor. High of 40 degrees, low of 30 right now as I record this on Monday. So much can change. As we know with the weather, 45% chance of precipitation. Calling for less than 2 inches of snow and maybe a little bit of rain. Of course, it depends on what the temperature is going to be in South Philadelphia. I do think, though, that bad weather bodes well for the Eagles. Rams not used to the cold weather. Bad weather favors a good running game. Eagles are better in the running game. And for the Eagles to win this game, I like their chances of winning. And I'll do a full preview for this game tomorrow morning. And I'm going to go with the Eagles to be victorious here. Offense just has to be better, especially in the pass game. I don't want to see these low-level, low-IQ, elementary school-level passing concepts from Kellen Moore. I want to see Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore allow Jalen Hurts in this pass game to be aggressive. You know what Saquon Barkley's going to be able to do. You know you have a great offensive line. The Eagles have to be better in throwing the ball because the Rams, you already know, they had 255 hung up on them by Saquon Barkley back in Week 12. They're going to go all out trying to stop this run. They're going to force Jalen Hurts to throw it. So that's going to be a big key in this game. Eagles defense, going to have to show up, ball out again. Coverage is going to have to be tight because Matthew Stafford can find the tiniest of windows, and Sean McVay's a good game planner, a good play designer, and a good play caller. Huge key to this game, too, this Eagles defensive line and pass rush, bringing it. The Eagles can win this game if they pressure Matthew Stafford consistently because they can stop Kyren Williams. You stop that pass game, you get pressure on Matthew Stafford, it all falls right into your lap. And so when I think about this game, instant reaction right in the moment, I'm thinking Eagles have the rest advantage. Rams short week, cross-country travel, early game for them, West Coast time. Eagles have the talent edge. They have home field advantage. They could have the weather edge. And look, I'm not sleeping on Nick Sirianni against Sean McVay. Sean McVay might call plays. Everybody thinks that's so sexy. But Nick Sirianni is a damn good ball coach. And so I'm looking forward to this game. I'd actually rather the Eagles play the Rams than Minnesota and over Tampa Bay. And so the Eagles had 3 options for this divisional round game. Rams, Vikings, Bucks. Bucks match up well with them. I don't think the Vikings would have come into Philadelphia and won, but that defense is really good. And the offense, if Sam Darnold is playing well, looks really good. But I think the Rams are the best team for the Eagles to face among those 3 teams. And the Eagles get a crack at them once again in the divisional round of the playoffs. Already beat the Packers twice. Had to take them on week 1. And that Packers defense was good. They caused some fits for this Eagles offense. Now the Eagles going to have to beat the Rams for a second time as well. So just wanted to hop on the mic, pass along some thoughts on this Eagles-Rams game in the divisional round, pass along some thoughts on what I watched as the Rams straight up pummel the Minnesota Vikings in the wild card round to round out wild card weekend here on Monday night. Don't forget to hit that sub button. Full preview coming up tomorrow right here on the channel. Be on the lookout for that and great coverage the rest of the week. 3rd show today. Got to be built different. That's why you subscribe, because this is what we do.